one of the motives to disseminate the nuclear family's importance is Hey guys, welcome back to Keeping It 99 here with another episode with your host Isaiah Boxer. We got two special guests today, Mr.
The man, the myth, the Mormon, Tyler B. Jones.
Not sure what he just said there, but I'm Matthew Thompson.
And nice voice crack, man.
Shut up.
Great voice crack. So we're here today to talk about a very interesting topic, something that affects all of us, and it's the modern day American society. So I'm going to start with Tyler. What are your thoughts? Like, how would you define modern day America?
Well, personally, I think it's reaching a downhill moment, especially after, if you look at all the stuff going on economically, like educationally and politically, you'll see that the nation's becoming a lot more divided, especially politically. And I mean, our education system is, I would say it's more improving. The one problem I really have with it is that we don't really focus on what we're good at. We just kind of teach everyone the same thing. And this leaves a lot of people out, especially those who aren't as maybe gifted in certain areas. Like everyone's like pushing for like computer science, STEM, like math and all that. Like they're saying, oh, you got to learn STEM. You got to get a job in this because we need to advance society. But there's people that just aren't good at it. And it's not that there's something wrong with them. It's just they have their talents in different areas. Like if someone's really good at art, I personally don't care about art. I'm not good at it. But this person might be really good at it. So why are we trying to teach them how to do STEM when they don't want to do that? They're not good at it. So like, it's just not focused like on teaching people what they're good at, making them better, make it so they can make a contribution to something in society that they're good at.
I think it's good to manage expectations. You got to understand what you're good at, and people have to tell you. They can't be like enabling you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if you go so far in life and you don't enjoy what you do and you're not even good at it, it's not gonna feed it to like increase America's status as a country. If you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand what you're trying to say. Both of you guys. Like I think that, like if we're gonna talk specifically about the education system, is that the education system is very uniform throughout, and a lot of people think that's a good thing. And I think that, you know, it's good to have uniformity throughout states, cities, whatever, but every individual is different. Every individual has their strengths and weaknesses. So as a society, we should play into the strengths and weaknesses of the people that, you know, are around us, especially in education. But what I'd like to focus on first is actually the political scene. We're not going to get into politics, but like, you know, like compared to other countries, you know, America, not all other countries, but compared to a lot of other countries, America is really divided.
Yeah.
So I'd like to talk about the division. So Matthew, if you want to.
I'm thinking that it's what makes America great, I guess, is the ability to be divided. You know what I'm saying? So they can go into their own factions of belief. And yes, it's negative that they attack each other.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's a bad thing. It's beneficial. Like
so you think division is beneficial?
I think we need diversity. Not on the scale of like judging one another's beliefs. We should respect each other's beliefs, pursue to explain why their belief is the best. So like if you're a Democrat, you know, you want to explain how your views on like taxes, etc., like how that could benefit the country, and then do your best to explain why your argument is the best, instead of just like crapping on Republicans and just like making people just, you know, uncomfortable. And
so,
like, yeah.
So do you think political unity is something that is important to a country's growth?
Unity in the sense that it has to be for the greater good. It can't be for selfish desires. So you can't be like,
okay.
I don't want to say like economically focused, because I mean, you do want to benefit the economy, but you can't be selfish. You can't be, which is really hard because like everyone has their own motives, and no matter what you get to do, we're all human. And yeah, it's just it's a really complex subject, but I think unity is ideal to achieve, but realistically, we need that division. We need the different perspectives to feed into one another, and then that'll lead to the ultimate decisions being made.
Okay.
And yeah, it can be biased because like in the Senate and stuff, but.
So what you're saying is that like individuals need to put the union ahead of themselves.
Yes, absolutely.
And that will drive us closer towards unity.
Majority rather than singular opinions, and people voting on particular people.
So do you think that the majority is always right?
Absolutely not. But what I'm trying to say is, in the ideal scenario, that would be the case. Like everyone wants the greater good, but it's their own context which defines the greater good. Like
Yeah,
they don't.
okay.
Some
Yeah,
people don't know what
exactly.
they want. You know.
Like it's not just that, but also some people have different definitions of what is good and what is bad.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is the first time in American history where we don't share we don't share the same moral, ethical set of values of what is correct and what is not
Well,
correct.
I don't know if I'd say the first time. Like,
Nah,
Okay.
I mean,
if you go back,
Well, yeah, maybe not the first time.
yeah,
I agree
I
with
feel
that.
like now more than ever.
Yeah, that's kind of
people
what I was
are
going on.
going crazy. You got TikTok. But like opinions are just going crazy now.
yeah, I do feel like the increase in communication through social media and the internet has definitely made it so tensions have become like more, I guess, stress. I don't know. I can't think of the word at the moment, but
And they're breeding like the youngins or the young. They're breeding the youth to believe things that they don't get to decide themselves. You know what I'm saying? So like they.
Okay.
I keep
Well,
saying it
okay. So hold on. Sorry. I want to attach on this point that you just made.
No.
That teaching the youth something that they don't understand or like they don't believe. Is it innately wrong to teach people who are young, like to teach them what is right and wrong?
It's.
yes,
Yes.
Okay.
No,
Why?
because if you don't teach them what's right and wrong, they're not going to know how to orient themselves or know how
Well,
how
I
they
was saying like, is it wrong for us to be teaching right and wrong?
Oh, absolutely
No.
not.
Okay.
make. Is it wrong? No.
Deal.
Okay. Well, that's what you said.
No, I said. Okay. So, people's opinion, like they don't teach them right and wrong. They don't teach.
Oh, they teach them like subjective
they
opinions.
Teach them
Okay.
Subjective. Yeah, they don't give them the moral neutral ground to like know what's.
Well,
right.
that's the thing is that we don't in this today's society we don't share a moral neutral ground. I mean, like we might, but like if you look at the scope of, I mean, a lot of people have different ideas and beliefs on a lot of different moral topics. Like, so what is the right one? I think is like the question that I'm trying to ask.
I would say maybe teach them just what we all agree on. Like we shouldn't be sending maybe more left-leaning teachers in to teach them that a lot of the stuff that maybe that's on their agenda is right, and we shouldn't be sending right-leaning teaching to teach them that stuff on like left's agenda is bad and like right agenda is good. Maybe just morally the stuff that we agree is bad, like don't bully people, don't murder, don't steal, don't be dishonest, stuff like that. I would immediately teach for younger kids, teach them like that. As they grow up, as they become teenagers, become adults, they'll start to be able to develop opinions and ideas for themselves, and maybe that's when they can start to maybe be more educated on it.
Okay, so do you think the education system has a bias towards, like misinformation? Like there's a bias towards people's towards instead of telling people like what is objective truth, instead we play this game where it's like, I believe this, and what's true for me might not be true for you, and it's just like, as a society that doesn't make sense. It's not even something just in the education system. It's throughout society in general where, what's right for me is not right for Matthew, and I think that when it comes to, there are some things where that's true in. Like there's like, the way how I study is definitely not the way how Matthew studies.
You actually studied to begin with.
But like, morally, it should not be what's right for me is not what's right for you. Like that's not how it should be. So I think that like, this you can do whatever you want type of mindset that we live in is actually really dangerous. It's like, people take freedom in the wrong
What do you
tense.
mean by dangerous though? Like, are you saying that we're leaving it too open as to like you can teach kids that? Sorry, I lost my train of thought. I think that like some maybe stealing or stuff like that is wrong or
That's just the law.
No,
or
I'm
sorry, is
talking-
right or like something like that. Like, should we teach them that that's bad, or do you mean it's too open, as in we're teaching them stuff about maybe political, like social stuff that's going on right now that we should?
Yeah, social things, social issues. But I think social issues have a moral background behind them,
Yeah.
right? There's an ethics and behind every single decision that every human makes in every aspect of life, there is a moral, ethical motivation in some shape or form to do that thing or to say that thing or whatever. So I think that there's a lot of social issues where, in an ideal society, you just don't even bring it up. You don't even bring it up to kids because there's so complex things that we're talking about that it's like it's easier if you just don't tell them about it, and then when they come of age, you kind of
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying, is that we don't need to go into detail teaching them about like like if a teacher maybe came from a specific cultural or like background or something like that. They don't need to go in, be a teacher, start teaching them about their morals based on their cultural or religious beliefs or something like that. They should just, the things that kids who are maybe elementary school, middle school should be taught are just like the basic what's right, what's wrong in terms of like the big things. Like, I don't know, like again, murder, robbery, being dishonest, being, I feel like I'm naming stuff from the 10 Commandments, which maybe I shouldn't be, but
I want to say that like in school versus at home is completely different. You're gonna have parents, like no matter what you do, you're gonna be influenced by your parents and how they think. Like now I'm looking back and like stuff my mom told me, which she's a good person, relatively.
Relative.
No, I mean, yeah, she's a good person.
Relative to what, Matthew?
When I look back, like there's some stuff like I don't agree as much. Like she and not to say it's like me being reckless or just like stuff, like the law is the law. Like I don't do bad stuff like against my mom's will, but opinions, like politically, you know, like you're gonna eventually grow up no matter where you are.
Well, just because you grow up doesn't mean you have to disagree, I think is
right. But I think you can't discern the fact that no matter how we teach the people, the kids, I guess, they're gonna like formulate we just gotta create the best environment for them possible.
Yeah, well, so
at home and educationally, which at home can be tricky.
I will say at home is like the number one place where you learn stuff. I mean, you know, it's kind of part of it.
I was going to say, you can name another society or another problem with our society nowadays is that we have a lot of problems at home. Like, I think we were naming, there's the percentage of divorces in the US is way higher than it should be.
Oh,
and it's
well, I mean, it should be 0 in my opinion, but
so obviously like, what is it like? Is it like 50% right
something
now?
like that,
Yeah.
Within like 2
That's
years.
That's way too high. You're like, these families are being torn apart. These kids aren't receiving the proper childhood that they should have. So they're not being brought up properly. And sorry, back to kind of what we were saying a second ago. I do think that maybe we should focus on school about specifically the big like general areas of what's morally right and wrong, and then maybe parents at home could be a little more like teach their kids maybe what they believe or what they think they should believe or something like that. So we should leave that to the parents and do them a good parenting job. And that's where I was going to the problem with a lot of homes nowadays end up broken. And
you know, a husband and a wife is somehow not as advantageous to any other scenario. I mean, studies show that, you know, single parent families do worse than double parent families, and that, you know, single mothers do better than single fathers, and that, so like there's so many things that just prove, you know, that prove the existence of a nuclear family. And I think that one of the motives to disseminate the nuclear family's importance is the LGBTQ movement. It's and feminism. Those are two direct movements that their entire goal is, maybe not their goal, but one of the things they're doing, it's like a symptom, like a side effect of it is destroying the nuclear family.
I would say it just might be a way that they're trying to push, I'm not going to say their agenda, but their opinions. Yeah, okay, whatever, their agenda. It depends. I don't know. I wasn't really thinking of it like politically, but
it is political.
It's like more socially. But I would say they are making a push for that, and they're saying that, it's not nearly as good as you would say it is. I actually had a talk with our English teacher yesterday about how she's saying that view that everyone puts in where you're going to grow up, you're going to go to college, you're going to meet your spouse, you're going to get married, you're going to have kids and have a wonderful life. She's saying that is just not true. Like that won't make you happy. It doesn't work for everyone. And I was thinking about that for a bit because she did mention that 50% of marriages in the U.S. end in divorce. So obviously these people aren't happy, and if even some of the people that stay married, they might just be faking it, or maybe they aren't smart enough to realize that they're not truly happy. And I thought about that for a bit, and I think it's because maybe in a lot of these relationships and stuff, you're not trying. If you put effort and you put time into those relationships with the people that you love, you're going to be a lot more proud of them. You're going to be a lot happier. They're going to want to spend time with you. You're going to want to spend time with them, and they're going to grow, and then you can actually be happy.
Yeah, and I think it's this very big misconception, and I've said this before, and I've gotten a lot of heat for it, but love is a choice.
I was going to say.
Right? Yeah. Love is a choice. It's not just a feeling, because feelings come and go. Yeah. So you can have the feeling of love, but in the end, it's a choice. You have to choose to love the person that you're with, and you have to choose to do things. Like you said, you have to put an effort. So I think that it really is a choice, and it's something that those groups, their whole agenda is that it's not a choice. It's like when you like love is love, it's just a feeling. It's just exactly. It's not, and it's when you say those things, you're not just pushing your own movement, but you're destroying so many. Because when we're indoctrinated to this, the LGBTQ, it's fine, it's okay, whatever your political stance is on that, I really don't care. But when we're told to believe that those things are okay, and we're told to believe that love is love, sure, we might not become gay, but it's going to have an effect that love is only love is love. It's just a feeling. It's not a choice you make.
And I think that
thing.
also, it's a huge distinguishing factor between feminism and extreme feminists. You know what I'm saying? Like those who say killing all men is what we need to start. No.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's absolutely ridiculous. But at the same time, I understand what they're saying. So when you trailing back to the nuclear family kind of concept, people definitely need to strive for that. But in terms of, I want to say the familial hierarchy, it's changed definitely a little bit. It's more women need the need to be important compared to men. No, okay.
Wait.
Let me
Backtrack.
let me clarify myself real quick. Women need to be equally treated in the sense that they are equally.
Okay, women are equally treated to men in today's society.
Right, and often the feminists who are extreme take that too far, and they use that to fuel their movement more and more. And I feel like that's what's casting a bad image on feminism. So feminism isn't entirely a bad thing. It's just the aspect that creates problems is creating more division between men and women, saying that women are better. But the goal is equality on the levels that require equality. So maybe in the workplace, depending if they work better, and other stuff like that, I suppose.
Yeah, I think he's just what he's trying to say is that there's the two kinds of feminism. There's feminists, and then there's crazy women who really hate men.
Facts. Pink-haired.
Don't cancel me for that, please.
So what was I going to say about the whole feminism thing? Well, I think in modern society, there is no need. Modern Western society, there is no need for a feminism movement. It's unless you want, so it depends. When you say equality, what are you defining? Are you defining equality of opportunity, equality of outcome, equality of what?
Definitely not outcome. So opportunity, but to prove themselves equally in comparison to men.
So equality of having the opportunity.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I agree. I think anyone with the brain agrees that equality of opportunity is desirable, even though it's really hard to attain, but it's still possible. Equality of outcome is.
And then the extreme feminists just crap on that idea. They want women to be more.
Yeah, they want
prone to have more
women.
opportunities because they think they're they're not special, but they're more significant than men, which is just kind of ridiculous.
So it's I had an idea, and I think it was that you have women out there who are I would say that you need to push for teaching men how to respect women, because there's plenty of men who don't respect women,
absolutely
talk awful about them. They maybe don't treat them either physically, emotionally as well as they should. And there should be a movement to that, maybe just educating boys when they're younger, respect women. But then this also goes the other way too, because there's plenty of women who have no respect for men.
Absolutely. In fact, they hate men.
So I want to go on this point. Actually, this is something I want to talk about. Is the modern man. It's honestly so. When you're in school, right? I mean, we're all taking world history, so we know that for the entirety of history, men are tyrants and they're oppressive, and all they do is put women down. And you can debate that on a historical level to some extent, but I'm not talking about that. But what happens when you tell boys from when they're in preschool, for every single time history comes up, that men are oppressed women, the psychological effects of that on men over and over and over again. You're doing two things. Number one, you're making them oppressive and tyrannical, and number two, you're making the ones that are not doing that to be way more feminine and way more, I don't want to hurt any woman. And it's you're getting these two extremes that are just both wrong, completely wrong. And so I think, and that goes back to the education thing, that the Western education is pushing that men are tyrannical, oppressive beings by nature. And I think that it's really hurting what the traditional man is, the protector of the family, the worker of the hard jobs, the provider, the protector. And it's just like, first off, what woman would not want someone to provide and protect them? I just don't understand, how that doesn't make sense. But let's say you're a strong, independent woman, and you don't want that at all. I don't think that telling men that they're terrible people is the solution to getting rid of terrible men.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say, I would assume that maybe it can intermove, but I assume that the role of men and women would be more like parallelistic. I don't know if that's a word, or more parallel, where men would be the protectors and providers of the family, and the woman would also have an equal role in supporting the family, being able to take care of the children. They should be able to do that, but
proportion to meet their needs. So like if they get pregnant, boom, like they're just the dad, or whatever. The dad does everything he can do to protect the family. Like she stays at home. That's just gonna happen no matter what. Like you don't expect a pregnant woman to go out and work unless she's just a single mother, which is a completely different issue altogether. Like you.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that society is pushing for an egalitarian system, where men and women are indistinguishable from each other. And it makes no sense. It's proven, in Scandinavia. Scandinavia is the most egalitarian society, and that is in Scandinavia. You see the biggest differences in interest and temperament between men and women. So it just shows that if you try to force men and women to be the same, they only get more different. When left up to their natural tendencies, men and women are going to choose different jobs. Men and women are going to choose different roles in society. And it's not because one is less or more important than the other, but it's just everyone has a role to play. And it goes back to, if you're a Christian, the story of creation. Eve was a helper comparable to Adam. Literally, there's no way you can take that in any other terms.
Again, I'm going to reference the Bible again, so
that's fine. Go ahead.
A lot of people might not find this that interesting or anything. But if you go back and you look over a lot of the important men in the Bible, right beside them was a woman that was there to help them. Abraham had, was it Sarah? Sarah. Okay. Abraham had Sarah. Adam had Eve. Let me keep thinking of more. Mary had Joseph.
Well, Mary gave birth.
Joseph wasn't even the actual father of her baby, and he was still. Or wait, no, sorry, that's the other way around. But even then, you can think of it like that, where the man is supposed to support the woman. And let me think. Help me think of more examples. You probably know the Bible better than me.
There's a lot of examples.
Isaac. Isaac had Rebecca.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then Jacob. No, not Jacob. Yeah, Jacob. He had Rachel.
Yes,
but he had 2 other wives too. So.
Well, welcome to history. But yeah, so men and women are there to complement each other. So I think that pushing that men are oppressive, tyrannical, and what it does outside of that, another point is that it just creates this feminine man, which there's nothing wrong with being kind of feminine, but you can't have every single dude like that, right? To say that being strong and protecting is wrong or is incorrect, I don't see the legitimacy of that opinion.
Yeah, I would say that we want to create an ideal man would be a man who is strong, able to protect, able to provide, is a hard worker, but he's also a respectful man. He knows how to respect women. He knows how to respect his kids. He knows how to respect other people, and he's also kind, caring. I'm just
compassionate. He respects their choices, and he's tolerant, or has more temperament at least.
Yeah, and I think that going back to what you just said about the respecting women, something else that's wrong in modern society is that, well, no one respects anyone in general.
Yeah,
but
that's a good point.
The sexual nature of the sexualization of the world we live in. It's every single thing is sexualized. It's actually crazy.
That's sorry. I think I was thinking about that a second ago and I forgot about it. It was when we were talking about happiness, and in our relationships, and we've become so. Our society has been moved so far toward thinking of becoming more sexualized and relationships and other stuff like that. We forget what having an actual relationship is and what it means to actually love someone without necessarily being sexually loving someone with not for the sexual attraction.
Which will come naturally out of genuine love.
Yeah, I love for their personality, who they are, rather than...
I agree. And especially with any female celebrity you see to this day, They're just sexualized.
I mean, it's not just females and male celebrities.
Especially male
I mean,
celebrities.
girls and guys are just so sexualized by girls and guys. It's crazy.
And while
Yeah.
some people embrace it to like boost their status, like like Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion, like they go crazy.
Yeah, that's
because they're well aware
Bro, they
of
go
Funny,
ham.
man.
the feedback they're gonna get from doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but so my point is that as a society, condoning that sort of behavior, what it does is it leads to the lack of respect. I mean, you see guys, just sleeping with girls wherever they want to go, whatever they like all the time. Girls doing the same thing to guys, and it's just like, and the worst part is that's become like the norm. The
Yeah.
normal social tendency is just to, have sex whenever you want.
It's lost its
Like it's as if sex is like a physical toy.
And then like you'll have like sometimes even relationships will get torn apart because of it, because
Yeah.
someone can't think about they don't actually love their spouse maybe for the personality or like who the person
They just
is.
like it because they like having sex with them.
Yeah, so when you have the opportunity to maybe cheat or something like that, you're gonna be like, oh, I would never do that because I never want to hurt this person because I love them, and I would feel all kinds of awful if I hurt them in that way. You're just like, if you only love them because you want to have sex with them, then you're just gonna go have sex with other people too. Like you're gonna cheat on them.
Yeah. It's like this idea that sex is just a physical thing. And I think you can tie that even into the LGBTQ community, where the only way that you can logically defend like being LGBT or any of them is because of sex. You have to assume that sex is just a physical thing that you just do in order to logically defend that proposition or that position of life. In order to defend that lifestyle, you have to assume and you have to say that sex is just sex, and it's like, because sex is just a toy, and I just want to have sex with whoever I want.
and often
That has to be the center of their argument, and so that goes back to where it's like, them doing that, them making that the center of their argument, has pushed society into becoming more sexualized than it already was.
Yeah, it's like kind of sad. I might be bringing my religious viewpoints into this a little
That's fine.
bit.
You're a single human being, so it's fine.
Yeah, again, I'm just looking out for my future. But it's
man.
that, oh man, you made me lose my train
Sorry.
of thought.
bro, come on.
It was mainly that,
You said some religious beliefs.
Mormons.
yeah, what were you saying before that? Help me remember.
I said LGBTQ people making sex being a physical thing the center of their
Oh, yes,
society.
okay.
Yeah.
Sex is not a toy. It's not
it's
something
not,
you
yeah,
just
yeah.
do for your enjoyment. The purpose of sex is for procreation. That's the right
Procreation.
word? Okay.
Or to express genuine love. Either or.
Yeah, it's something that should happen. I mean, I believe between a man and his wife, a woman and her husband, or something like that. It should happen between spouses. It should be something that is shared between them. It's not like something you just go out and do for fun.
Yeah, it's not a social experiment.
Yeah.
I agree. What are your thoughts, Matthew? You can have different opinions if you want.
I mean,
or the same one.
I don't
whatever.
necessarily disagree. Like that's the way it should be. But society is conditioned so much to where like they don't know any better. Like they're brought up believing that
Yeah.
sex is just is what it
Yeah,
is.
and
Like,
that's my
it's-
point. Is that
Right,
yeah.
yeah, okay.
And it's a product of, first off the sexual revolution. It's a product of the sexual. That's a thing. It's part of the sexual.
Fair enough. Okay.
Product of the Jesus Christ, a product of the sexual revolution, which includes the LGBTQ community, includes women becoming like dominators in society. It includes just sex as a manifestation of how someone feels. And you see it every single time you open Instagram. I mean, you can't scroll far enough before you see something like that.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the problem with it too could be the internet. I mean, like how much stuff.
Oh, it is 100%.
You can literally open the internet, go look up, like just you might even like come across you will come across randomly just some kind of like sexualized thing. You got like
And TikTok even more so. It's just account after
Yeah.
account after account after account.
See from personal experience,
Oh,
actually.
Yeah.
absolute dirty stuff, dog.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, if you go, I've heard
It's
like
terrible.
examples of this. People saying if you go back to like, is it 60s and 70s, maybe even 80s, if you want to
Like
find like,
the word like sexualize, like to sexualize someone is like what we would consider just like normally going out in public, like
yeah.
Yeah.
just like
And then like, I was going to talk about pornography.
That's fine. Go for that.
I was going to say, go back to like 60s, 70s, probably 80s. It's hard to find it. You have to like leave your house, maybe go to like a special store that they only have in like certain areas or something like that.
Yeah, like the hurdles you have to jump over.
Yeah, it
To
took
get-
effort to get it.
Yes.
Well, one could argue that's
Today,
also,
you could go on sign and you can Google that 4-letter word and
oh yeah, it's
100,000 options would come up.
More than 100,000.
Yeah.
One could also acknowledge that it's also kind of a credit to the internet. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying you're wrong. It's absolutely true. Like, they're not as like conditioned to accept people who are like porn stars back in the day, especially not in the 60s. Like, but like when you say like 80s, 90s, that's more a credit to the internet. Like then it was becoming more
Yeah,
sexualized.
that's the point.
And then it became more of a transition that fed into modern day. But before that, like 60s, if you were considered like if you were known to be a porn star, you'd be considered as just
Yeah, well,
below
see-
I mean,
right?
think about how normalized it's become.
Right,
Where
which
you
is the
have
issue.
websites like OnlyFans or like Twitch where you can just
Okay,
yeah,
Twitch
Twitch.
is becoming like
it's
that.
not
now.
as bad.
Right, so you can
as like
respect-
OnlyFans,
you can
but it's
yeah.
normal and you do it for money and people don't really judge you as much as they would back in like the.
Well, and that's a product of the
decades.
internet.
So what I'm trying
Yeah.
to say is like you can
Dude.
respect someone's choice to do it. Like you won't like say like, oh god,
Jesus
you're less
Christ,
than
Matthew.
human. You're absolutely
What you just said, not a single
Trust
word of that went out.
okay. So like I said, you can respect someone who chooses to do it, but don't normalize it so you feel encouraged to do it. If you don't want to do it and like you just are desperate for money,
Yeah, 'cause
don't
that'll lead-
default to that.
That'll lead to more like sexualization society. Women will just like.
Okay, well, I'm
throw-
gonna make the argument that pornography is something that needs to be banned.
Honestly, I
Yeah, I
agree.
do think it-
I'm just gonna
should be
make that
too.
point. It destroys
someone's image. Period.
it destroys everything. It destroys society as a whole. I mean, there's so many things that are wrong with it. We can get into that if y'all want, or you can.
The excess
I mean,
on-
sometimes I try not to get into stuff like that. I'm supposed to have the view of protecting people's freedoms, religious beliefs, and agency. So there's a lot of stuff that I think are some of those awful things on this planet, but I don't necessarily think that we should just go ahead and ban it just because I just do feel like people should have the opportunity to choose. As much as it's a horrible thing, really.
Yeah.
And it tears apart families and stuff like that. It's not great.
Okay, so that's I like to go on this opportunity to choose this free will, not free will, sorry, this freedom aspect that we live in, where you're free to do whatever you want and however you want and with no consequence. I think that real freedom. I said this yesterday actually in class. Real freedom is denying oneself's pleasures.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
okay,
is a
I
good
see-
point, actually.
I see
That's
what
the
you're-
argument I'm gonna make.
Following with that, following up on that, the freedom to
So how would you define freedom?
freedom is knowing, I guess, like I personally starting from a moral standpoint, basically, like starting at the neutral ethic. From that point, then you can discern what's like, like right and wrong, and then your freedom to choose. Again, it's always up to you. But you,
So freedom is defining freedom is you get to choose whatever, or is it what you get to choose within a moral compass?
you get to choose within, like a certain range. Like there's a certain point where like it doesn't become your choice. Like you have to not like violate a certain aspect. Like not just law, but like you know what I'm saying? Like just from any standpoint, really.
What Isaiah said, I like the thing about freedom being your ability to overcome your desires or something like that. I actually really like that. Like that, I would say that's leaning toward like mental freedom. You have more freedom to maybe be who you are.
Yeah.
Make your own choices if you're able to overcome maybe desires that might not be that great. I was talking more about like freedom and like what you can and cannot do. Like what part of you thinks that pornography should just be banned in general? Is that like the religious part? Because a lot of people maybe think of it like religious part like that. They say it should be banned because like, oh, it's a thing against God. The thing about that though is that limits upon the religious freedoms of the people who maybe don't want to be a part of that religion. You're now hurting their religious freedoms, and that's why I'm saying it shouldn't be banned or so it shouldn't. In terms of like more
because I'm gonna say that the three largest religions in America all disagree with porn. And they account for about other than atheism, they account for about 90% of religious people in America.
Yeah,
So,
I know.
and
I'm saying
atheism
it's
is
an
a
awful
big
thing. Most
chunk
people
as
do,
well. But
'Cause
I
I
mean,
feel-
it's again goes back to the religious freedoms of the people.
I agree.
Religion produces like a set of parameters to follow. Like
So,
otherwise, it's
so
something-
okay. So I think
yeah.
that people should be free to choose whatever they have. However, just like what Matthew said, there's a limit, right? Something like pornography. Like if you can name me one positive that comes out of pornography,
There's no positive, not a single
Okay.
positive.
So that's my point.
circulation, but even
If
then-
if you could name one positive that comes out of watching porn or having porn on the internet,
Right, watching it.
then we can have a debate as to maybe we shouldn't ban it.
It doesn't.
But if you can't, for example, like why is it okay for like why is it not okay to kill?
The thing is
You know, some people's
think
religious
about it like
beliefs might
that.
be that, you know, you can go around killing people. So it's the same thing where it's like there's nothing good that comes out of killing someone, right? We can all agree on that. In the same way, if there's nothing good that comes out of pornography,
you could say that they're infringing upon the person's right to life.
Again, that's all up to
that's not
one's
something
perspective.
good. Like what
Yeah,
good
that's
comes out
what
of
I'm saying.
killing
So
someone?
like, I'm saying, but that maybe that's like a general law, just because by like if you'd remove that law and everyone had been like, oh, I could just kill you, then that would just like ruin the person's opportunity of life. I don't know.
Okay, so good point. So, like the point is right. The things that we say in law that are wrong, we say they're wrong because they hurt other people, they hurt yourself, and there's nothing good that comes out of it, right? Murder, for example, if I kill you, obviously I've done more than hurt you. I mean, you're not alive anymore. I now have to live with that guilt on my head,
Yeah.
and nothing good happens. Nothing good happens if I kill you. The same way, when I watch porn, what goes in my brain is a ton of garbage that is complete fantasy, relates nothing to my sexual life with my partner or lack of partner. There's nothing good that, like, you know, so that's hurting me, hurts other people when I get into relationships and I try to act like porn, like what I see in porn is what sex is. Now I've hurt the person in front of me and nothing good comes out of it. So why is it still legal?
You can't offer yourself to someone when you're only like half of what you're supposed to be. You know? Like you can't give your all and like your actual emotions to someone when they're blocked by your desensitization. Basically.
That's exactly. So nothing good comes out of porn. So why is it still legal?
That's like.
Well, the reason why it's legal is
it's a
because of
great
the money
point.
that's
maybe,
tied to
yeah,
it.
That's true.
I mean, that's it. I mean,
Otherwise-
I mean, you could think it. I mean, I would say that maybe it's just because you're not directly hurting
no,
someone.
you are
I
directly
mean,
hurting someone. I mean, you're directly hurting yourself.
Yeah, I mean,
That's a start.
I just meant like directly, as in like I feel like me shooting you in the face is a lot more direct than
You have to
maybe
go through a lot more
slowly
steps to
deteriorating
explain.
our relationship
Yeah.
because.
But the psychological aspect of if I watch porn and I'm in a relationship, I don't see I don't respect the
I mean,
girl
you
in
could
front
say
of me
you
as
could
much.
say maybe it's because I feel like maybe watching porn for you, maybe destroying your relationships would be a lot more harmful to you than
Well, that's
if you
not
were to
true.
Kill someone.
Because women are more emotional than men, so it does hurt women, arguably to the same or even more worse than men do because we get desensitized.
Yeah, I know. I'm having a hard time coming up with a line. And again, I feel like this is another problem that we have in our modern day American society.
Is that there's no
where
consistency.
to draw the line. Yeah.
There's double standards everywhere we look.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, there's double standards when it comes to education, double standards when it comes to why is porn legal.
Yeah.
Like if our whole legal system agrees with those three rules as to why things are illegal, and porn fulfills all those three rules, why is it still legal? And their answer really is that it makes a ton of money.
Yeah.
That's why it is.
I mean, maybe
the most
if,
lucrative business.
Maybe if the majority in the U.S. wanted to ban it, then I don't know. Maybe sure, whatever.
But at the same time,
I mean,
I'm saying-
honestly, maybe I'd be for it.
that's the problem.
I'm
'Cause I
saying,
mean, it's
based
hard-
on our
it's-
current legal system,
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense that it's not banned.
Yeah.
And the majority of people, though, they don't have like the ethic or the actual standpoint to know that it's such a bad thing. Like they can't realize.
No. Everyone knows.
Right, but they like the benefits.
It's
again,
taking your
it's hard
pleasures,
and
your
freedom.
short-term pleasures above your long-term success.
Exactly.
And that is something that, again, is wrong with modern day society, is that every single person, myself included, takes short-term pleasure now instead of long-term success in the future. Like no one wants to put in the work for 20 years from now. But instead of me studying for a test, I'm going to go to a party and get absolutely laid and fail my test.
Yeah. And then So my point of view on that is, yeah, I agree with that, like that scenario, 100% you should go study for your test. Like, what are you doing, dude? But it doesn't necessarily mean that you should always skip out on opportunities.
That's not
to
what I'm
have
saying
fun.
either.
Yeah.
But what I'm
That's not
saying
you're
is, as a mindset, your mindset should not be fulfill myself now, forget about it. It should be
Earn your gratification.
your mindset should be like, work for my future, so my future is easier.
Yeah, I mean, so there's something my seminary teacher likes to say a lot is, don't give up what you want now for that big thing that you want in the future. Or he says it a different way, but that's mainly what he's trying to get across. And one example he actually used from this last year, he works for the Falcons, was that Calvin Ridley. You know his story where he was sports betting. Calvin Ridley, instead of keeping his multi-million-dollar contract, I don't know how much it was worth, I'm sure it was multi-million, instead of keeping that, being able to play football, the sport they love, and be able to keep going, he decided to just bet on a sports game. Doesn't matter how much it was. That was against the rules of the NFL. Yeah. That was against the rules of the NFL. He gave up a season, and he has, I think, the potential to be banned more just because he wanted to bet like $100 on a sports game.
Yeah, it's that same thing. It's that short-term like pleasure spike, whether it comes from gambling, sex, drinking. You take that, and it's like, I'm going to do that instead of something that can build my future. Yeah. I think that is the underlying most detrimental thing to modern day society.
Yeah. I would also like to use, I like to think, I saw this quote, it was, laziness makes today easier and tomorrow way harder, like way harder. Hard work makes today harder, but tomorrow easier. Think about your future. Work hard now so you don't have to work way harder in the future.
Yeah.
I like to think, my dad, honestly, I really like, trying to maybe be like him in terms of hard work, because he's amazing hard worker and a great role model. He came from like very little. He was very poor. His parents divorced when he was like a teenager, and he worked really hard. He was able to. He got into BYU, graduated with he ended up getting a bachelor's. I think it was computer science, something like that. He went working like Intel for a little bit. Decided to quit. He didn't like it, and he works for Pulte Group now. It's a home builder. He works really hard. His bosses always love him. In fact, he's like best friends with the CEO. Actually, I wouldn't say best friends, but pretty good friends with the CEO. He's worked up. The reason we've moved so many times is because he keeps getting promoted. Now I guess this isn't a secret anymore because he's in Atlanta business. He got promoted to COO, and I think transition takes place next year or something like that. And he really came from like, I wouldn't say nothing, but he came from very little. Like he always tells the stories about how they just eat whatever they could when he was younger. I mean, he's got like 4 sisters too, so that made it all the more harder.
First of all, congrats to your dad like that. That's good. That's absolutely awesome.
And I'm always like, I want to be like him. He's got this like amazing family now. We all get along pretty well. He's able to afford pretty good stuff, like good education for us too. And that also makes me scared too, because I'm afraid, since I've grown up in comfort and having more opportunities, that makes me scared that I'm going to grow up, I'm not going to be able to work as hard.
Yeah.
I feel like you're definitely a good hard worker. Like you have good.
No, I hear exactly what you're saying.
Do you have that like?
Yeah, all the time, like every day.
Like sometimes there's days where you're like, "What are you doing, man? Come on."
I guess. Like, and y'all definitely know my work ethic. It's not the best.
Not the best. I don't even know if it exists.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's not the fact that my mom, like, she didn't really have to like work hard for everything. And like, I didn't have like, I don't want to say like I had good conditions growing up. I was blessed. I'm awesome. I'm chilling. Like I live in East Cobb. I live in Indian Hills.
I live in East Cobb.
I'm pretty set. But like one of my like house like is like from the 70s. It's not like a big house. It's just like I wasn't. The way I basically came in, like on the, I guess, educational path, like seeing, like, when I was starting out, like kindergarten.
Educational scene.
Shut up. So basically, my transition from elementary school to middle school into like the first year of high school, like I was a hard worker. I had really good ethics.
First year of high school.
And right. First semester of high school.
First week. That's what.
And then I don't know what happened. Like everything just like it became so insignificant because like my parents, they just expected the good stuff to happen. They were comfortable with me, right? They expected me to do good. And when I started faltering, saying like, oh, okay, it's okay, Mom, I'll do better. They trusted me to do better. And like you still gonna need someone to continually get on your back about it, and like,
Okay.
because I haven't had much to like
So-
live up to in terms of like my family. I mean, like my dad, he has a huge business and stuff, but still, like,
So,
there's not
okay.
as much pressure because I
So
haven't
here's
had
what
that
I'm going to say.
experience.
Internal motivation is one of the hardest things to attain, but it is 120 times more powerful than external motivation.
That's
Right.
exactly why.
People pushing you to in the right direction is good and all, but it means nothing if you don't want to push yourself.
No, okay.
Yeah, you really have to take it to heart. I was actually telling Matthew about this
That's what I
back
was
on
saying.
Friday.
Recently, I've been working on it.
The way I do it is to really truly make it internal and personal. Is I take everything or that one thing or maybe everything that I want most, and I tie all of the work I have to do into that. And I trust the process, and I say, if I get all this work done now, I'll be able to get that thing in the future, and I won't have to worry about it, and I'll be able to live out the rest of my life happy.
Yeah, I mean, you'll be surprised, like, how much you can do when you're internally motivated. Like, I'll say, like, for me, like, the way how I learned to be internally motivated was this podcast. Because no one's telling me to record episodes, to edit, to post. No one's telling me to do that.
Yeah, when you say you were starting a podcast, I was like, bro, what is he on? And then, hey, here we are on the podcast.
Here we are, episode 30, 40 something now.
That's crazy.
Something like that.
Started less than a year ago. That's crazy.
Yeah, it started in March. But it's like, this is how I've learned to become internally motivated. And now when I apply this in school, dude, I've never done so much better in school in my life. Like, I am chilling right now, like, big time. Like, I'm doing really well. So it's like, and you'll be surprised how much you can change in how little of a time,
Yeah, I'm gonna be dead serious. It's been like, I used to kind of maybe not take homework as seriously as
I used to never do homework.
Yeah, I meant the first until like a couple weeks ago or something like that. I used to not take it that seriously.
A couple weeks ago.
I used to do. I would always do my math homework during computer science class, and it's not because computer science is like worthless or just because that's when I want to do it. I'm just like good at computer science. I don't like to pay attention. That's my highest grade right now, actually. But I kind of started doing it at home, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna start doing it at home. Then that way I can maybe chill a little more in that class. Maybe even get ahead in another class during that class if I really feel like I want to. And it'll take a lot of stress off my back. And then those things at home maybe that I want to put off till the last second, just get it done now. That way I won't be as stressed in the future.
Yeah, and I think, like, as a society, we've created a lazy society, right? Like, especially with COVID, like, not to use it as an excuse.
No, I believe COVID was a big reason. Like,
well, I mean, for me, that was like the turning point, like near the end of it.
Right.
The thing is, I know this is very uncommon, but I honestly think that I improved over COVID.
I did, yeah.
I definitely did.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we were all in that stage of life where we were bound to improve, right? Exiting freshman year of high school. I mean, like, you can't really go lower than that.
So
I mean, it felt like a metamorphosis where you like went into your house for a year and half a year, something like that, and you were like, there was a few times when I'm like, I just didn't like who I was, so I decided to make a change.
That's the thing. So like, I definitely think I improved, but I didn't capitalize on those improvements, and I just let it slide, basically.
And so
you can't let it go. You got to keep going.
So this is the the equality opportunity thing, right? We all had that same opportunity, not to take a shot at you or anything.
No, I mean,
but in general, like, every kid exiting freshman year had that same opportunity.
Yeah.
And what percentage came out with the outcome they wanted?
Exactly.
See what I'm saying? So, and that goes back to the whole equality thing at the end. We can wrap it up after this, but where it's like, true freedom is like denying yourself, right? Real equality is, having the same opportunity, which everyone does technically. There's some you can debate socioeconomically, but within your socioeconomic platform, you have the same opportunities as everyone else. You just have to capitalize on those opportunities. And I think that, as a society, we're in a slump, and we need to get out of this slump.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And
that's
as
all.
someone who's at least semi-part of that slump currently, if not fully part of it, I've been working on it recently. It's gotten better. I've been disciplining myself, and
I'm surprised you showed up today.
it's better. It's better, yeah, honestly.
You showed up on time.
For real.
That's a first.
Well, I mean, not the first period, but whatever.
I mean, this dude's actually gotten like. Did I tell you this week he actually got like a head math, like he was a day ahead.
Yeah,
Decided
I-
to
One
to do that.
I'd say, isn't
Yeah.
awesome?
Let's
You know what I'm saying?
go.
You know what
I
I'm
was
saying?
like, geez, Matthew, I know I talked to you on Friday,
And
but
like this is the first time
took
I'm
that
like
one to heart,
the
jeez.
homework, like it's just like
Yeah.
I just get 100%.
he was getting
right
more
now.
problems right than me
I
on
know,
the
I was
homework,
like,
dude.
Let's
There
get
was
it.
when I had no idea what he
See,
was doing.
that's
He's
what
like, I got
happens-
this right. And I'm like, you got to be kidding
This
me.
is what happens when he tries.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like
That's
this
what I told
isn't
you. He-
something new. Like I always used to try and like I mean middle school is very different from high school in like a lot of ways. But like
You did not try high school,
on
though.
the cusp of high school, like transitioning into like the huge environment, I was like,
You
I
might have
got
tried
this.
for like a week.
Yeah, but I know what it's like to try and do really well in some, but like in terms of high school, I just haven't committed myself to doing that.
It's
as
scary.
much.
It's a scary commitment. It is because you're so comfortable with not trying. You're so comfortable and you're fine.
Right,
It's not like you're failing every class.
No,
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
a
not like
lot
you're
of
failing every class, but it's like taking that step and then committing to it is like,
Yeah, and
That
again,
goes with change in
I feel like
general.
it goes back to like the comfort of just not really trying. Like you're not trying, you don't care, so you're just kind of like comfortable where you are. And then I meant to say it goes back, but it goes back to that thing where are you gonna try now or in the future? Are you gonna work now or in the future?
Yeah.
If you leave yourself comfortable now, not trying, where are you
You
gonna
won't
find
be
yourself in
comfortable
the
in 10
future?
years.
In like a pit hole where you have to work hard, but you're not getting paid a lot, where you're not happy, where you don't have great
Yeah.
relationships, not a lot of money, all that.
Exactly.
yeah. All right. Well,
There was
sounds like that's all. Unless you have anything else.
there was one more thing I think I meant to mention at the beginning, and it was that I think we did mention the country is divided, and
Yeah.
I do think that a lot of the problem is that nobody
Nobody
ever
cares.
tries to compromise ever.
They don't think they
Like
could-
they're like, okay, we're 100% right. You guys are wrong. We will not compromise. If you don't give us everything we want,
Yeah.
we're not gonna like
yeah, there's
let you do
positive
anything
division,
else.
and then there's just like negative, terrible division. Like in the sense that if you be constructive about it, like if you try to advise someone on your opinion, not saying they're wrong completely, and I think I already said this like a while ago, but you have to accept someone's decision to think a certain way, but then encourage them using your own reasoning without negating their own. Basically.
Yeah, and then remember, compromise is maybe each party gives some up in order to maybe like
Yeah.
make peace or get something themselves. And like no party in like neither party in the United States right now is really trying to do that.
Yeah.
If you're gonna unite the country and bring us together politically, you got to give something up. You can't just get
Yeah.
everything you want because that's just not how it works. I mean, think about the compromises that brought the country together, like not supporting this compromise, awful it involved slavery. The 3/5 compromise, that gave each North and South each something they want, and they gave something up, and they were able to make the Constitution out of it, right? Yeah.
There was it,
3/5 compromise, right?
yeah, it was just like a law.
To
Yeah.
enable
Yeah.
equal representation
Still awful that it involved
amidst
slavery.
a different, complete situation that was terrible.
We all would have preferred that it had ended differently. But,
I mean,
you know, made the
yeah.
country
Just
better.
go back to his point. It's like, in order to think, you have to risk being offensive,
Yeah.
right? So you can't just, conform to whatever society wants and just kind of like, not like if you don't like. In order to have opinions, you have to risk being offensive. So it's okay, but it's just like find the middle ground between people.
I agree.
That's all?
Absolutely.
That's all, boys.
Yeah, I think that was
Busted.
it.
That was
Wrap
good.
it up.
Shout out to Penguin Gang YouTube's coming out shortly.
Oh my
Gonna be
God.
a gaming channel including
Have
this
you
man
started
right
it?
here,
I thought
me,
you were about
and
to
a bunch
start
of other
that.
people. Obviously Isaiah. I have the Google Calendar set. I just
So
have to
this is what I
make
told
stuff
him.
happen.
The thing is, I thought we weren't gonna.
Speaking-
I thought we weren't
speaking
gonna
of
reveal our
commitments to
identities
stuff.
because I thought we were
Yeah.
gonna just be like say whatever we want.
So
I mean,
what
yeah,
I
but like that's like
what I told him was, listen, this is your project.
this is my project.
So you define the terms. And obviously, it's been like 2 months and nothing's happened. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Keep it 99. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, share it, and stay tuned for the next episode. Appreciate it.
Later. Peace.
Jesus.
See ya.
Thank you for breaking my ears.